Picture this, a dirt track beneath bare feet. No shoes, no coach, no certainty of a meal waiting at home. Just a dream burning so bright it could light up the darkest night. This is the story of how one young athlete refused to let a collapsing economy, political chaos, and impossible odds steal what mattered most: the chance to run towards something greater. This is the story of Tadiwa Mapofu and how he made it from the streets of Harare to the Olympic Games. And I promise you, by the end of this story, you'll never look at your own challenges the same way again. Before we dive into this incredible journey, if stories of human resilience and triumph move you the way they move me, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This channel is dedicated to sharing the stories that remind us what we're capable of when we refuse to give up. Stories that inspire us to push past our own limitations. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Now, let's get into it. Tadiwa Mapofu was born in 1995 in Harare, Zimbabwe, a country rich in culture, history, and natural beauty, but plagued by economic collapse and political instability. By the time Tadiwa was 10 years old, Zimbabwe's inflation rate had spiraled into the billions. Money became worthless overnight. His father, once a schoolteacher, could no longer afford to feed the family on his salary. His mother sold vegetables at the market, but even that couldn't keep up with the rising cost of basics like bread, cooking oil, and soap. Tadiwa remembers those years with a clarity that still makes his chest tighten. He remembers hunger, not the kind you feel before lunch, but the kind that sits in your stomach like a stone, that keeps you awake at night, that makes you too weak to concentrate in school. He remembers the power cuts that lasted for days, leaving the city in darkness. He remembers the fear in his parents' eyes when they thought he wasn't looking. But Tadiwa also remembers something else. He remembers running. It started as play. Kids in his neighborhood didn't have much. No video games, no fancy toys, but they had legs, and they had the open road. They'd race each other from one end of the street to the other, whooping and laughing, forgetting for just a moment how hungry they were. Tadiwa was fast, really fast. The other kids couldn't keep up, and when he ran, something inside him came alive. For those few minutes, nothing else mattered. Not the empty cupboards, not the uncertainty, not the fear. Just the wind in his face and the rhythm of his feet hitting the ground. One day, when Tadiwa was 12, a visiting coach from the National Athletics program happened to be walking through his neighborhood. He saw Tadiwa racing his friends, barefoot in tattered shorts, and stopped in his tracks. The coach's name was Mr. Chidzonga, and he'd spent 30 years discovering and training young talent across Zimbabwe. He knew raw ability when he saw it. "You," Mr. Chidzonga called out, pointing at Tadiwa. "How fast can you run 400 meters?" Tadiwa didn't even know what 400 meters was, but he knew he could run fast. "Faster than anyone here," he said. Mr. Chidzonga smiled. "Come to the stadium tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. sharp. Let's see what you've got." That night, Tadiwa could barely sleep. He didn't own a watch, so he woke up every hour, terrified he'd oversleep. When the first light of dawn broke through the cracks in the walls of his family's small home, he was already up, splashing water on his face from a bucket. His mother, who was awake preparing for another long day at the market, looked at him with quiet hope. She didn't say anything, but she slipped a small piece of bread into his hand. It was meant for her breakfast, but she gave it to him anyway. Tadiwa ran the 5 kilometers to the stadium. When he arrived, Mr. Chidzonga was waiting with a stopwatch and a knowing look. "Let's see what you can do," the coach said. Tadiwa ran, and when Mr. Chidzonga clicked the stopwatch, his eyes widened. For a 12-year-old with no formal training, running in borrowed shoes 2 sizes too big, Tadiwa's time was extraordinary. "Kid," Mr. Chidzonga said, "if you're willing to work, I'm willing to train you. But I need to be honest with you, this won't be easy. The country's falling apart. There's no funding, no equipment, no guarantees. But if you have the heart for it, we'll find a way." Tadiwa didn't hesitate. "I'll do whatever it takes." Training under Mr. Chidzonga was brutal, not because the coach was harsh, though he demanded excellence, but because of the conditions. The national stadium had fallen into disrepair. The track was cracked and uneven. There was no proper gym, no physiotherapy, no nutritionists. Most days, Tadiwa trained on an empty stomach. He'd run in the scorching heat, then help his mother at the market, then run again in the evening until his legs gave out. But Tadiwa had something that couldn't be measured on a stopwatch, an unbreakable will. Every morning he woke up before the sun. Every evening he pushed through exhaustion. He studied videos of Olympic runners on an old phone Mr. Chidzanga lent him, watching their form, their discipline, their focus. He memorized their techniques and tried to replicate them on the broken track in Harare. By the time Tadiwa was 16, he was the fastest junior athlete in Zimbabwe. He won every national competition he entered. But winning in Zimbabwe was one thing, competing on the world stage was another. To qualify for the Olympics, he needed to compete internationally, and that required money the country didn't have. In 2013, Zimbabwe's national athletics budget was slashed to almost nothing. Athletes were told they'd have to fund their own travel to international competitions. For Tadiwa, that was devastating. His family could barely afford food. How could they possibly pay for flights, accommodation, and entry fees? But Mr. Chidzanga refused to let the dream die. He reached out to local businesses, community organizations, and even international charities. Most ignored him, some laughed, but a few believed. Slowly, painfully, they scraped together enough funds to send Tadiwa to a regional competition in South Africa. Tadiwa remembers that trip like it was yesterday. It was the first time he'd left Zimbabwe, the first time he'd seen a properly maintained track, the first time he'd competed against runners who had professional coaches, nutritionists, and all the resources he could only dream of. He was terrified. But when the starting gun fired, all the fear melted away. He ran like his life depended on it. And he won. That victory opened doors. International scouts started noticing Tadiwa. He received an invitation to train in Kenya for 3 months with some of the best middle-distance runners in the world. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. But it came with a catch. He'd have to leave his family behind, live in a foreign country, and train harder than he ever had before. His mother looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Go," she said. "This is your chance. Don't let anything hold you back." So he went. And those 3 months in Kenya changed everything. Training in Kenya was like stepping into another universe. The altitude, the competition, the intensity, it pushed Tadiwa to his absolute limits. He trained with athletes who had represented their countries at world championships and Olympics. He learned what it truly meant to be elite. But the physical training was only part of it. Kenya taught Tadiwa something deeper, how to carry the weight of a nation's hopes without letting it crush him. The Kenyan runners spoke about running not just for themselves, but for their families, their communities, their country. They spoke about the responsibility of representing something bigger than yourself. And Tadiwa realized that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to run for Zimbabwe. For every kid growing up in Harare with nothing but a dream. For every family struggling to put food on the table. For every person who'd been told their country was too broken, too poor, too forgotten to produce a champion. When Tadiwa returned to Zimbabwe, he was a different athlete, stronger, faster, more focused. And when the qualifying window for the 2016 Rio Olympics opened, he was ready. The qualification process was grueling. Tadiwa had to hit specific time standards in officially sanctioned competitions. He had to compete against runners from countries with million-dollar training programs. He had to do it all while dealing with ongoing power cuts, food shortages, and political unrest back home. But on a humid afternoon in Johannesburg, at a Diamond League qualifying meet, Tadiwa ran the race of his life. When he crossed the finish line and looked up at the scoreboard, his time was there in bright numbers, a new personal best and well within the Olympic qualifying standard. He'd done it. He was going to the Olympics. The 2016 Rio Olympics was everything Tadiwa had imagined and more. The opening ceremony, the Olympic Village, the energy of thousands of athletes from every corner of the planet. It was overwhelming and exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Tadiwa was competing in the 800 meters, one of the most tactical and demanding middle distance events. The field was stacked with world champions and record holders. Nobody expected the kid from Zimbabwe to medal. Hell, most people didn't expect him to make it out of the heats. But Tadiwa didn't care about expectations. He'd spent his entire life defying them. In the first round heat, he ran smart and controlled, conserving energy while still qualifying comfortably for the semifinals. The semifinal was tougher, faster pace, stronger competition. But Tadiwa dug deep and finished third, securing a spot in the Olympic final. The Olympic final. 8 runners, 1 shot at glory. The night before the final, Tadiwa called his mother. The connection was terrible, crackling and cutting out, but he could hear her voice, could hear the pride and love and hope all wrapped together. "Whatever happens tomorrow," she said, "you've already made us so proud. You've already won." But Tadiwa wanted more. He wanted to stand on that podium. He wanted to hear the Zimbabwean national anthem played for the world. He wanted every kid back home who was running barefoot on dirt tracks to know that it was possible. The final was electric. The stadium was packed, the noise deafening. When the starting gun fired, Tadiwa exploded out of the blocks. The pace was blistering from the start. At the 400-meter mark, he was in 5th place. At 600 meters, he'd moved up to 3rd. With 100 meters to go, he launched his final kick. His legs were screaming, his lungs were burning, but he pushed. He pushed harder than he'd ever pushed in his life. When he crossed the finish line, he collapsed onto the track, gasping for air. For a moment, he didn't know where he'd placed. Then he looked up at the scoreboard. 3rd place. Bronze medal. Tadiwa Mpofu, the kid from Harare who trained on a broken track, who often ran on an empty stomach, who'd overcome political chaos and economic collapse, was an Olympic medalist. He buried his face in his hands and wept. Tadiwa's bronze medal was more than a personal achievement, it was a beacon of hope for an entire nation. When he returned to Zimbabwe, thousands of people lined the streets to welcome him home. Kids waved flags and banners. Strangers embraced him like family. For a brief, beautiful moment, the struggles and hardships faded into the background, replaced by joy and pride. But Tadiwa didn't stop there. He knew his story was bigger than one medal. He used his platform to advocate for better funding and support for young athletes in Zimbabwe. He started a foundation to provide running shoes, training equipment, and coaching to kids in underserved communities. He went back to the same dirt roads where he used to race his friends, and he told those kids the same thing Mr. Chidzonga once told him: "If you have the heart for it, we'll find a way." Today, Tadiwa continues to compete at the highest level. He's aiming for the 2024 Paris Olympics, chasing gold this time. But win or lose, his legacy is already secure. He proved that talent and determination can flourish even in the harshest conditions. He proved that your circumstances don't define your destiny, your response to them does. And perhaps most importantly, he proved that one person's dream, pursued with relentless courage, can inspire thousands. So, what can we learn from Tadiwa's story? I think there are 3 powerful lessons here. First, your starting point doesn't determine your ending point. Tadiwa began with nothing, no resources, no advantages, no guarantees. But he refused to let those limitations define him. He focused on what he could control: his effort, his attitude, his commitment. And that made all the difference. Second, resilience isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up every single time. Tadiwa faced countless setbacks, funding cuts, political instability, injuries, defeats, but he never quit. He never let the obstacles become excuses. He kept moving forward, one step at a time, one race at a time. And third, your struggle can become your strength. Tadiwa didn't succeed in spite of his hardships. In many ways, he succeeded because of them. Those years of running on empty, of training without resources, of pushing through pain and uncertainty, they forged a mental toughness that no amount of privilege could replicate. When he stood on that starting line in Rio, he carried with him the strength of every struggle he'd endured, and that made him unstoppable. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what's your Olympics? What's the goal you've been too afraid to pursue because the obstacles seem too big? What's the dream you've put on hold because you don't have the perfect conditions, the perfect resources, the perfect timing? Here's the truth. You'll never have perfect conditions. Nobody does. Tadiwa didn't. But he ran anyway. He trained anyway. He competed anyway. And he won. You have more resources than Tadiwa had when he started. You probably have access to better nutrition, better equipment, better information. So what's stopping you? Fear? Doubt? The opinions of others? Those are real, but they're not insurmountable. They're just obstacles, like the cracked track Tadiwa trained on, like the empty stomach he ran with, like the political chaos he navigated. Obstacles are part of every great story. They're not the end of the story, they're the middle. And the middle is where the magic happens. The middle is where ordinary people decide to do extraordinary things. So start today. Start with whatever you have, wherever you are. Run your race, chase your dream, and when the obstacles come, because they will come, remember Tadiwa. Remember the kid from Harare who refused to quit. Remember that the size of your dream matters more than the size of your resources. Remember that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. Your Olympics is waiting. The question is, are you ready to run? If Tadiwa's story inspired you, do me a favor and share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's facing their own challenges right now, someone who's forgotten how strong they are. Let's spread this message of hope and resilience as far as we can. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more stories that'll challenge you, inspire you, and remind you of what's possible when you refuse to give up. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next one. Now go out there and chase your dreams like Tadiwa chased his. You've got this.